Howdy, y'all. This is Mrs. Snarky with who are you again?
Somebody. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm here with somebody, and we're gonna be talking about epic titties again.
Oh, I didn't mute my stream.
You did the thing that shouldn't be ever done that everybody does.
I did.
That's awful.
It's been a long time since I did that. Well, hey, we're sick.
Yeah, we're sick. We get away with the being late and the tech issues and stuff. Anyway, so we're continuing our series on Epictetus, Enchiridion, and we're starting at section, was it 15 now?
Yes, 15.
Yay! So we're talking about wisdom and philosophy and control and, I don't know, stoic things, right?
Yes.
Just stoic things. So, okay, are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
You're ready for the epic titties?
I'm ready.
Bring it on!
Bring it on.
Oh my god, I'm gonna
Let's
die.
get this shit going.
Okay, so 15. Remember that you must behave in life as at a dinner party. Is anything brought round to you? Put out your hand and take your share with moderation. Does it pass by you? Don't stop it. Is it not yet come? Don't stretch your desire toward it, but wait until it reaches you. Do this with regard to children, to wife, to public post, to public post, to riches, and you will eventually be a worthy partner of the feast of the gods. And if you don't even take the things in which are set before you, but are able even to reject them, then you will not only be a partner of all the feasts of the gods, but also their empire. For by doing this, Diogenes, Heraclitus, and others like them deservedly became and were called divine.
Yeah, so it basically means don't want what you either can't have or don't have yet. So don't keep your mind on what's coming next.
That's kind of where we left off last time. We were talking about don't place yourself in the past, because if you do so, you will be basically depressed. And don't place yourself in the future either, because you're more than likely to be anxious about that. It's best to be present, right?
Yeah, it's best to be present. It's along the lines of, let's say you really want a TV. You want a brand new TV, and you look up a TV and there's one for, say, $700. And so you know about how long it's going to take you to save up $700. So you could either be, thinking about, I'm depressed right now because I don't have the money for this TV, or you could just live life knowing that at some point you're going to be able to afford this TV. And then the last part there is maybe you get to the point where you can afford the TV and realize you don't really need it. And so you pass up on it. And by passing up on it, you now have this $700 that can be spent in other ways.
Yeah, and you also have a lot more security in who you think you are, because you've established a sense of control and the reaction to that situation. One thing that I would like to point out with this is in the studies that they've done on happiness and things like that, and also specifically in the attainment of objects, what tends to happen whenever we strive, whenever we desire an object, we'll want it, want it, want it, want it. It's the one thing in the whole entire world we want. And then we get it and we're like, yay, for about a week. And then it declines and we level off again until we want the next thing, whatever it may be. So we're kind of constantly looking for a fix, so to speak, in terms of attainment of objects, which is something that, like, I really like to focus on, because it not only speaks to how one views themselves, but also how the object they allow the object to kind of define them instead of them defining themselves.
Yeah, and definitely.
I think that's important, especially if you're a person that's looking to be, I don't know, feel like an adult with like responsibilities and the ability to respond. I don't know, like at least that's the impression I get. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I get that. I was going to say also along this lines is the idea everyone knows someone that is single at this moment, and all they think about is getting in a relationship.
Yeah.
And they're constantly thinking about how much better it would be to be in a relationship. Well, if they're focusing on that aspect of their life and getting into a relationship, they're probably just going to jump into any relationship and possibly be much worse off than if they were to just work on self-improvement.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
wait.
Oh my God. Like, I've seen this happen. Like, and I've done this too, right? Just, I'm just so, like, swept away, and I'm so, oh, what do they call it? You have, like, a, impulsive kind of way of life, especially when I was much younger. Of course. Yeah, as you get older, you start to kind of realize that, hey, maybe hold off for a bit and kind of see if you're prepared for that in your headspace and whatnot, and your emotions and whatever's going on in your life circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's a wise decision. Okay.
Definitely.
Anything else on this?
Well, I mean, it mentions Diogenes, and we can kind of go into who Diogenes is.
Oh, Diogenes is awesome.
So Diogenes was a Cynic philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cynics basically followed a very strict form of asceticism.
And what's asceticism?
Asceticism is giving up basically all forms of any kind of wealth, really. Especially in terms of the Cynics, they were extreme ascetics. They would not eat until they were on the brink of starvation. They would not drink until they were on the brink of death from thirst.
Yeah, and this one particular Cynic philosopher was known to, or has said to have been, one to walk around naked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the Cynics were also known for walking around naked, masturbating in public, having sex in public.
Oh yeah, they're fun. They're so much fun. If you're not familiar with the Cynic philosophers, which we'll probably touch on at some point, but if you're not familiar with the Cynic philosophers and their stories, I really suggest you look into it because they're hilarious.
Like Diogenes might be having a chat with you and all of a sudden just haunch over and start taking a shit.
Right.
They didn't see any of the social norms as being virtuous. Right. So the Cynics themselves split into basically two groups. You had the hedonists, which went in the Epicurean route, and you had the Stoics, which obviously went in the Stoic route.
Obviously.
But the Cynics themselves kind of incorporated a little bit of both. They tried to live the best way possible, while not really owning anything or taking.
Yeah.
They wanted to find the simplest joys in life. And I guess the simplest joy is taking a shit or piss wherever you want.
You know, to be honest with you, to be completely frank with you, I think it one of the most simple things that I indulge in life is taking a hot fucking shower. Because
but when you think about it, that's not even a simple thing.
I know, but like for some people, at least in the United States or the first world countries or stuff like that, it's hard for them to imagine going years without hot water.
Oh yeah.
But I have, and it's awful. Like you learn to enjoy the simple things. And I think like when it comes to cynicism, they ran into the same wall that the Buddha ran into whenever he was seeking enlightenment. He would go to these ascetic groups and like starve himself and be like, what's the point of this? There's no real point in starving yourself. There's no point in depriving yourself of just basic stuff, as long as you don't overindulge. And I think that's an important part of the Stoic virtue.
Yeah, framework. And people in the chat are mentioning "Get Out of My Sunlight," which is probably the best known story of Diogenes, where it's said that Alexander the Great approached Diogenes and said, "Oh, I can give you anything you desire in my in my empire." Yeah. And Diogenes said to get out of my sunlight.
That's fucking epic, right? Yeah. I mean, you gotta admire that, and that's kind of, to be honest, I take a lot of influence as a snarky person online from Diogenes.
Well, and Diogenes is also known for taking a plucked chicken and holding it up in the air and saying, "Behold, Plato's man."
Yeah, because Plato was told to define man, and he said a featherless bipedal something or other. And he's
a featherless bipedal. So he held up a plucked chicken.
Anyway, like I said before, if you have not read these stories about Diogenes, fucking just do it. You are depriving yourself if you have yet to read it. And I'm very happy to see that there are people familiar with it in the chat. But yeah, that's the Cynic philosophers, and Heraclitus. Don't really know much about Heraclitus, just one of the ancient Greeks.
Yeah.
Persian, let's see. I believe he was Ephesian. I'll probably put these links in the chat as well.
There's really not much about Heraclitus other than he was one of the pre-Socratics.
Yeah.
And he taught more along the lines of the essence of stuff than the essence of a character. If you know what I mean. Like, what is the essence of life? What is the essence of nature?
Which that kind of stuff. For the time, these are very pertinent questions, because this was before the scientific revolution and the age of enlightenment and, this stuff, and we had to start somewhere. So basically the main question of the time is, what is stuff? Where does it come from? And that's why I get it chaps my ass when I hear people say, well, philosophy doesn't do anything. Oh, bullshit. Like, we wouldn't have the scientific method or any of this
science stuff. Mathematics, medicine, anything of those were all philosophies, branches of philosophy at one point.
I think we should at least offer some appreciation and respect to the origins of philosophy and how philosophy has come. It's come a long way, and I think there's not enough focus on the newer philosophers. It's mainly the classics. Here I am talking about Epictetus and then bitching about people not covering the postmodern. But I mean, you have to start somewhere, and I think that the Stoics are a good place to start when it comes to this.
Yeah, and I would just like to point out, Twitter philosophers don't tend to be very good philosophers.
Yeah, my way and the highway and all this shit. That's not the way it works.
If someone says, philosophy says this is true, no.
It's the colloquial version of truth.
Yeah, philosophy doesn't prove things to be true or false.
No, there's methodologies you can use in order to get to what could be considered a truth, but that's arguable, and that's kind of like the playing field you're working with.
Well, and you got to go with, well, what branch are we discussing? What is our definition of truth?
Yeah.
Because depending on the type of philosophy you're discussing, the definition of truth can be totally different. So it's not like your appeal to dictionary dead set notion.
Don't bring logic into this fucking discussion.
Yeah, valid versus sound. So there's a lot to it. So let's go on in Epictetus.
Epic titties. Okay.
No, not epic titties. I don't know how is that funny?
It's funny to me. That's all that matters. All right, so when you see anyone weeping in grief because his son has gone abroad or is dead, or because he has suffered in his affairs, be careful that the appearance may not misdirect you. Instead, distinguish within your own mind and be prepared to say, it's not the accident that distresses this person, because it doesn't distress another person. It is the judgment which he makes about it. As far as words go, however, don't reduce yourself to this level, and certainly don't moan with him. Do not moan inwardly either.
Okay, so there's a lot to take in this, because this sounds very harsh.
It does.
Basically, though, what it's saying is, so have you ever heard of someone's, say you hear someone's father passed away, and instead of like a lot of times we don't really empathize with the person, we then take it inwardly and think about our own father and go, oh man, I just would hate it if my dad died. I don't know what I would do. And it gets us off what's actually going on. It also says, don't distress yourself, but as far as words go, don't reduce yourself to that level. So even though you may look at someone that's seriously depressed and moaning and groaning and, oh, woe is me, that I am the most wretched of all humans.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't go, you ain't got nothing to whine about.
Yeah, probably not. That's not a very empathic way to respond, and I would not recommend that. It's best to express empathy and support for people that you care for, but also at the same time recognize that, you know, with time things will get better, and you know, stuff like that. Don't stay in that space.
Yeah,
because that can be a very bad space. And this passage reminds me of a song, but I think it's Neil Diamond. Don't Let It Bring You Down.
Yeah.
It was also redone by Annie Lennox in that movie, American Beauty. It's a really good song. Whenever you're looking upon the world, there's just a myriad of suffering going on every day. And sometimes when you're aware of this, it can put you in a headspace that is not preferable, right? And it's really easy to get brought down by that. I think that this is a good reminder to realize that it's not really so much that the world is as bad as you think it is. There are good parts to it too, and maybe you're not seeing because you're just drenched in this stress or whatever. So it could just be the view that you're taking of it at that point.
It could be, yeah. It's also a sense of every day you wake up, in the newspaper, which for the younger folks is something that you can buy that had pages. But no, in the papers there are obituaries every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's father passed away, someone's grandfather passed away, someone's mother, brother, someone's child passed away. And oftentimes we would just pass over that.
Yeah.
And this is about realizing that life itself is not actually something that we can count on. Yeah. And since it's not something we can count on, we should prepare for this so it doesn't take us by surprise, and realize that when your loved one dies, other people are looking at you as, oh, I didn't know that person.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to have the same view that you take, and they're not going to respond the same way. And I used to, like, when my mom died, I had a lot of friends that didn't really seem to be very supportive of me. At least that was the view that I took of it. Looking back at it, it's kind of like, they did reach out. I was just being kind of, like, drenched in awful at the time, so everything looked horrible to me. And when you're depressed too, you really can't trust your judgments about the world.
No, you can't. And emotions are addictive.
Yeah, they are.
Whether we like to admit it or not.
Yeah, even the bad ones.
When you're really angry, like everyone has experienced this time where you're really angry and someone tries to cheer you up and you're like, fuck you, I just want to be mad.
Yeah, don't tell me to calm down. How dare you?
So we get entrenched in our emotions, and that can be anger, rage, it can be fear, it can be depression. I'm not talking about clinical depression. I just want to make sure that's known.
Yeah, like the passion of being sad.
Yes.
The emotion.
The emotion of it. We get caught up. We get stuck in these moods from time to time. And it's unhealthy to stay in those moods.
Right.
So if you have a close friend or relative pass away, yes, there's a time to grieve, but there's also a time to get up and get back to work and do your best to move on. That's just part of being human.
Yeah. It really is. And a lot of times, like, we use these coping skills and mechanisms automatically, and we don't really realize it until we reflect on it. We're already doing this kind of naturally. But sometimes we get caught up in, or if we get into a pattern of it, whatever. So yeah, anything else on this?
Nope, not that I can think of. You want to read this next one?
Do I want you to?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Remember that you are an actor in a drama of such a kind as the author pleases to make. Make it. If short, of a short one. If long, of a long one. If it is his pleasure, you should act a poor man, a cripple, a governor, or a private person. See that you act it naturally, for this is your business. To act well the character assigned to you. To choose it is another's. So, this is one of the verses that probably would make a lot of atheists kind of look twice.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean that portion of about the divine? Wasn't
No. Well, that would too, I'm sure. But when the Stoics are talking, the Stoic faith wasn't necessarily religious in nature. It was just the way things ended up. So if you're born poor, the Stoics even back then knew if you're born poor, especially back then, it was way harder to move between classes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're born poor, you're going to be poor your whole life. There's pretty much nothing that you can do to get yourself out of poverty in those days. Now, today, we do have some that are able to do that, but generally, you're not doing much movement between the classes.
Yeah, generally not. I mean, you would be hard pressed to be able to get out of it.
So this is more so about accepting who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And acting in the best way possible as that person.
Yeah, and as I keep bringing up, the culture in which this was established was a pagan one. Like there's no denying that, and they had their aspects of there are certain ideas of metaphysics and the divine nature and cosmopolitanism and stuff like that. I'm a citizen of the cosmos kind of thing, and which, like, I like the idea. Okay, I like the premise of it, but I don't necessarily I don't believe in the divine. That's just me. Like, if other people want to say it's divine, I mean, that's cool. But the good thing about Stoicism is it's not limited to what your metaphysical beliefs are. It's mainly just a way of viewing life and kind of a moral framework more than anything else.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, the Stoics were both Greek and Roman.
Yeah.
And the Greek and Roman gods did not present themselves in the same way as, say, what most of our viewers are going to know as the Abrahamic gods.
Yeah, Yahweh sucks. Just full disclosure, Yahweh is just no. These gods in this tradition were a lot more relatable, and some of them even compassionate, some horrible, but
well, and many of the Stoics themselves, the Stoic school, saw the gods more along the lines of things that they don't really they didn't really care about the acts of humans.
Right.
And it was basically up to us. Stoicism wasn't atheistic because they did have a belief in the logos and Stoic or logic and Stoic physics, which, once again, I'll say this again, logic and physics, according to the Stoics, does not mean the same thing as logic and physics today.
Yeah.
But they had those beliefs, but at the same time, they were more deistic in nature.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was more like deistic, so it's not like this. I have this personal god that like plans my life. I mean, you could argue that fate was the closest thing that the Stoics had in terms of a personal framework.
Yeah,
but that's even like what do you call it? Indifferent.
Yes,
right?
It is indifferent.
So yeah.
Yep. So I mean, this is just be you. Whatever you can do at this current time, try to be you and be happy in it.
Yeah.
A person at 30 is going to already have some things that they're not able to do that they used to be able to do at say 15. And a person at 60 is not going to be able to do the same things as a person at 30. But you can still find your peace and happiness in those times.
Yeah. Indeed. And that was, I mean, we're doing the best we can, whatever time that we're living in as human beings. So, I mean, that's all that we can work with. I think it's kind of a pragmatic view, I guess, but that's the way I see it now. And in terms of moral frameworks, I think that it's really important to have that moral foundation, to study this, because if you're not reflecting on your morals and you're not reflecting on how you treat other people, then I don't think you really have a hold on how your life is actually impacting the world, even if it's in some small way, even if it's a big way. I mean, that's kind of a relative subjective argument, but
yeah,
it's one that could be had, and I think it's relevant.
Definitely.
So yay philosophy.
Yay. So you get to read the next one.
Oh, I do?
Yep.
Okay. Remember that you are. Wait,
No,
did we
that
do
we
the?
did that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the raven happens to croak unluckily, don't allow the appearance hurry you away with it, but immediately make the distinction to yourself and say, none of these things are foretold to me, but either to my paltry body or property or reputation or children or wife, but to me all omens are lucky, if I will. For whichever of these things happen, it is within my control to derive advantage from it.
Yeah. So don't be superstitious.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like
I mean,
like the raven croaking. I believe in this time period, if you heard a raven, it was someone you love is going to die.
yeah, it was a death thing. There's all kinds of superstitions about this too. And if you're gonna have a superstition, I mean, let it be a good one. Why would you want to bring like a negative superstition into your life? Wouldn't that
Well,
just like
not only that, it was just they don't actually mean these things.
yeah, they don't mean anything. But I mean, I'm just saying if your argument for having a belief system in the supernatural is that it helps me cope with life, I think it's best that if you're going to like pick and choose whatever framework, it should be at least a positive one.
Well, but you're saying pick and
It's,
choose, but I don't think we pick and choose those things.
yeah, but I mean, I kind of did.
I don't think you did.
I kind of did.
I don't think you did.
Okay. I think maybe it depends. Like, I don't think we have any kind of like choice over what we're convinced of, right? But we do have the ability to seek out information and expose ourselves to things as adults.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We can seek out this information and we can ignore others, which is kind of like what people do with the Bible.
We can, but that's kind of getting away from the point of this portion. Which is just don't worry about superstitions. Whatever happens is going to happen, and you can survive and thrive
right
after it.
And that's kind of what I'm saying, though, more or less. If you do think that that could be a bad omen, just kind of
well,
you know what I mean?
If you think bad omen, then you're going to be looking for bad things. So if you go, oh, that's bad luck, then the next thing that happens that's bad, you're going to associate with the raven croaking.
Right.
But if you go, raven croaking isn't really going to be anything.
I just see it as like, I think ravens are pretty and I like the sound of fall.
Yeah, that's basically all I think of when I hear ravens.
I mean, I enjoy it. I miss the howl of the wolves.
Yep.
That's a cool sound. You know what also is a cool sound?
What?
You taking a drink of your iced tea.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
It's actually just ice water.
Oh, well, even better.
But you can't really hear it because you can't hear tea or ice water. So
yeah,
you hear the ice.
That's a fair point. I'll give you that one. So, do we want to continue or do we?
I think that's probably about as good as we can do today with us being sick.
Yeah, I'm dying.
30 minutes is what you people get. Be happy with it.
Oh, but we'll be back next weekend for continuing our Epictetus podcast.
Just keeps getting funnier.
I hope y'all enjoyed this and have a good day. Oh, and subscribe to Godless Iowan.
Yeah, come and subscribe to me.
Yeah.
And subscribe to #Heathen, who is now the fourth co-host on my Friday night What's Eating GI live stream. So #Heathen will be joining us as well. So
I love that. That is gonna be lit.
So it's gonna be you, me, #Heathen, and Faithless Southerner. And it'll be a lot of fun.
We're gonna have Casey, we're gonna have the epic beard guy, and we're gonna have the straw man, and we're gonna have the bun buns.
No bun buns.
Bun buns.
No bun buns.
Bun buns, or I don't show up.
Yeah. All right.
Bye, y'all. Have a good day.
Yep.